Remove the wheel, take a 22mm socket, remove the lug nuts. Take the wheel off. Before I take the caliper off, I just want to crack this bolt free. That's for the caliper hose. Use a 14mm socket. Just make it easier right now. Just loosen it up. And you can just snug it just so it doesn't drip. That's good. Take these caliper bolts off right here and up here. Use a 13mm socket, or on the top one you might want to use a wrench. It might be easier to access. Slide that out. Now just pry the caliper back. For the driver's side, pry the top back, and then you're gonna slide it up a little bit because it has two ears right there. Now use a brake caliper hanger and just find a spot to hang it from. You can use this little hole in the frame. Just make sure the hose is not getting tugged too much. Take the brake pads off. Take these two nuts off, use an 18mm socket. Slide this bracket off. Now use an 18mm socket and take these two bolts out. And slide the bracket off. I'm going to take the bracket off the caliper, use a 13mm socket. And slide the bracket in position. You can put some thread lock adhesive on the bolts. Torque these bolts to 129 foot-pounds. Take this bracket, slide it in position, put the nuts on. Now torque these nuts to 30 foot-pounds. Take a little brake caliper grease and nice thin coat on the pad slides. Try not to get it on the rotor, or you could do it on the ends of the brake pads themselves. And line these back up. Take the new caliper, you're going to slide it in just at the base first. And then slide it up. And get the bolt started. Torque these bolts to 27 foot-pounds. Take this little cap off of the bleeder. Just use a little pick. Slide it off. And loosen up the bleeder. Use a 3/8 wrench. Just get it to crack free. Obviously nothing's hooked up yet, so nothing's gonna bleed out of there. Now make sure you have a drain bucket underneath because fluid's gonna come out of here when we take this hose off. And make sure the brake reservoir is full. You don't wanna run this out of brake fluid. So very quickly, I'm gonna take my 14mm socket, take this hose off. Take the bolt out. There's a seal on this side. Get that seal off. There we go. Be careful not to mess up the brake hose, and then we'll take this screw out. And there's two seals. One seal is going to go one side, and the other seal is going to go on the other side. And just slide it on the caliper. Get it started. Now torque this bolt to 26 foot-pounds. Now we can take this caliper off and throw this out. We're going to leave the bleeder screw open until brake fluid starts trickling out, and then we'll close this, and then we're going to bleed the brakes normally. To get it to drip a little bit faster, just open the cap on the reservoir. Just make sure you wipe it off. With it dripping, now I can snug this up. And to bleed the brakes, you want to have a partner pump the brake pedal nice and slow. You can pump it about 3 to 5 times till the pedal feels good. While they're holding it down, come in here, open the bleeder, watch the fluid come out. There should be air bubbles in at least the first time doing this. Then close it up. Have them pump the brake pedal again, 3 to 5 times nice and slow. Holding the pedal down, open the bleeder again, see if there's less bubbles, and then repeat again until there's pretty much no bubbles coming out. Then with that nice and snug, put the cap back on. After you go for a road test, double check for leaks. And check your fluid level, make sure that it's up to par. If you have to adjust the fluid. Make sure you clean the cap before you take it off and put the cap back on. Take the tire, put that back on. And put the lug nuts on. Now we're going to torque the lug nuts down to 148 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly.